So when it comes to outsourcing, this is what I see majority of people within the SMMA game, social media marketing game. This is what I see majority of people struggle with. Now, a lot of the times it ranges from, different things that they struggle with within outsourcing and finding the right contractor and all that kind of stuff. But what I want to do with this video is I want to address the two main kind of points, the two main focal points that you should have when it comes to outsourcing and finding the right contractor for your agency. Now, just before we jump into the video, guys, as always, make sure you go ahead, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Massively helps out with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps me help more people. So look, when it comes to outsourcing, okay, there's two main kind of problems that I see people have. These were the two problems that I had when I was starting out quite a while ago. So they're the two main points that I want to kind of position this video on. Those two main points consist of what to look for within a contractor, and then the second point is obviously where to find them. Where can you find the right contractor for your agency? So they're the two things I'm going to be talking about in this video. Now let's start with what to look for, okay? So what are you trying to find? What's the main things that you need to be thinking about? What's the main attributes? What are the main kind of characteristics you need to be looking for when it comes to outsourcing? Because I know a lot of people often just think, oh, I just need to find someone with proven results who is in my price range. And there's a realm of truth to that. They are two things you want to look for, but there are other things as well. A lot more goes into it. And I think a really big mindset shift that you can have that I've adopted, and it's massively helped me, and I think you guys should adopt it as well, is when it comes to outsourcing, when it comes to you finding the right person for your team, don't look at them as a contractor, okay? Look and try and find an employee for your agency. Now for me personally, that's the route that I'm actually going down, is I'm finding the right contractor, then I'm actually bringing him on as an employee eventually. But even if you're not thinking that and you just genuinely want a contractor, just don't think of it as a contractor. Think of it as an employee, because without the title, that's basically what they are, okay? They're an employee of your agency, they just don't have that title. So I think when you start looking with that mentality, it will massively help you find the perfect fit for your agency, and it will really help you build that team, that company culture, and just have a very solid team for your agency, which obviously will directly correlate to how successful your overall business is. So that's kind of the first thing I just wanted to mention. Now, moving on to kind of what to look for. So there's a few things that I personally look for, and I think they're really powerful kind of attributes, like I was mentioning before, that you need to look for within a contractor. So when it comes to looking for the right attributes, like I was mentioning before, in your contractor, there's a few things, okay? Now the first one, you do not want anybody who is entrepreneurial themselves, okay? You don't want somebody who runs their own agency and they're white labeling to you, or maybe they've got a Facebook ad course and they're they've got a course and they've got their own agency and they're being a contractor for you. You do not want that. You do not want anybody who's entrepreneurial. And there's people out there, I know probably the majority of you guys on this channel are entrepreneurial. I'm entrepreneurial, but there's people out there who just genuinely want to work within a team. They love that kind of team spirit. They love working with a team and moving forward with a team, and they want to be a part of that team. That's the type of people you want, because that means that once you find the right person, if they're not entrepreneurial and they like a team and all that, then that means that they're going to stay with you for far longer. If you get somebody who's entrepreneurial, they've got 5, 6, 7, 8 different things that they're doing all around here. Their focus isn't on your clients and on your business. Their focus is on 7 other things as well as your business. So obviously you can just tell that they're not going to be as effective. They're not going to be a very good worker for you. So you don't want that. That's the first thing, and that's probably one of the biggest things. I would personally say that completely overrides results, past experience, how much they charge. I personally would say that overrides everything. Moving on to kind of the second attribute you'd like to see is obviously, finding the right person with the right results, who's got some case studies behind them, it does help. And I think for majority of you guys out there who are starting, I think that's probably the route you should go down, is finding somebody who's got some solid case studies behind him or her. That said, you know, you don't always have to find somebody with good case studies. It can be an option for you to find somebody who's just like into marketing, you know, they enjoy it, and then you can actually train them up. Obviously, once again though, if you're a beginner and you're just starting out and you want to bring a contractor on board, then obviously you can't train them up because, you know, you're in the same position as they are if they don't know anything either, if that makes sense. So you want to find somebody who's got good case studies so then you can leverage those and, you know, get clients that way. But for those of you who are like running agencies right now, maybe you've got a contract and you don't like them, you want to move, or you're running it all on your own and you're getting killer results, then a good thing to think about is, you know, you got to remember, like, you genuinely can train up a contractor. Now, the third and kind of final attribute, obviously there's lots and lots of different things, but these are the three main ones that I personally look for. These are the three main ones that I think kind of like I said before, you know, they override everything else. And for this third one, this definitely is one that often gets overlooked, and it's just, you want to make sure that you genuinely like the person. Like, if you get a contractor on board who's got the best past results, you know, they might charge whatever they're charging a month, but you just don't like them, then it's a pretty good telltale sign that you guys are not going to last very long. And even if you do, company culture is just going to be terrible. You're not going to be able to build an actual sustainable brand long term. Like, that's a really big one, and it's a thing that everybody overlooks. Like, I swear, like, every single person overlooks it, and it's just a really, really important one to just think about. I mean, just do you genuinely like him? Because I'm sure you know yourself, like, if you like somebody who's got the same mindset, you guys share the same values, you're into the same things, and you just genuinely got on with them, you're gonna have a much better time, you're gonna get much more done, much more effective work done with that person as opposed to somebody who you resent. So there are a few really, really good things to look out for when it comes to what to look for in a contractor. Obviously, I could have made like an hour-long video kind of explaining everything you want to find in a contractor, but they're the three main ones, and I think if you follow those three things, you won't go far wrong in terms of finding the right contractor. Now, moving on to where to find the right contractor. Obviously, there's different places on the internet, all over the internet, where you can actually find the right contractor. And once again, there's kind of three ways that I personally have used, and I personally see other people use, you know, my students and whatnot, I see them using it and it works really well for them. Obviously, one of these ways for me is much easier, but there's three ways, and I think within those three ways, you are gonna end up finding the right contractor. So the first way, right in front of your eyes, look in your circle of friends, look in your, you know, social media following. If you've got one, if you've got a personal brand, put it out to your personal brand. And that's kind of what I've done. You've probably seen in a few videos back, I actually did that. So that's the first one. Like, it's a one that, once again, often gets overlooked. Like, people don't think to just literally post on their Instagram or look at their close friends. Like, that's a really big one. Like, sometimes you might have that one friend who just shares everything the same. And once again, that can be that case of where you train them up to where you want them to be. That's a really big one. You don't always have to find somebody, you know, over the other side of the world or the other side of the country or whatever it is. Like, sometimes it just might work that you know, in your close friend group, there's somebody there that you really get on with and all that kind of stuff. They really tick off all of the boxes in terms of what you should look for in a contractor. And that's a really, really powerful way of finding kind of the right team member to bring onto your agency. Now, moving on, obviously I just want to mention this one, I'm sure everybody knows, but obviously Upwork and kind of those freelance websites, they're really, really good because, you know, you've got so many people on there. But I think if you do go down that route, it's completely fine. Only thing I'd mention is I would personally say that you'd need to have more of a strict qualification process. You need to have more of a, you know, like, you need to make sure that you kind of qualify them a lot more tightly, a lot more in depth, because there's so many people on Upwork, and, you know, finding that perfect team member, I think it'll be harder, but you'll have more to choose from. So that's why it's a good route to go down. And I think, like I say, the only thing I'd mention is on your, like the application, get as much information out of them as you can. Then from there, you obviously want to fizzle down or like kind of fizzle out the tire kickers, and then you can get down the few, maybe 4 to 5 at the end, and then you can interview each and every one of those, and just make sure on that interview you're super strict with what you're saying. You know, you're super strict with what you're saying. you really interview them like quite hard, because like I say, you're gonna get a lot of people on there who are just trying to make money and they don't really care. They're not looking to work with a team. They're just trying to, like, anytime they see like a $500 sign or $1,000 or whatever, they just take it, like don't care what it is. So you really want to weed those people out, because obviously you don't want somebody like that on your team. And yeah, like you just want to make sure you interview them super in-depth, qualify them. But like I say, that's a super good and powerful way to go about finding the right contractors. But you just do need to be a little bit careful over on Upwork. Now for the last and final way, once again, it's probably a way that most of you guys know, but they just do work. You just need to make sure that you work hard at finding the right person. So for the third and final way, Facebook groups, okay? Facebook groups are another really powerful way of finding the right person, and like kind of where to go to find them, because obviously, as you guys know, there's literally Facebook groups with the title like Facebook marketing or like Facebook ads or whatever it is. So you know you're gonna find the right people in there. Once again though, kind of ties in with Upwork. Just make sure your qualification interview process is super in-depth, and you qualify quite hard, and you make sure that you find the right person. Just as a few kind of final pointers, and a few like extra tips, if you like, when it comes to outsourcing and finding the right team member and whatnot. First things first, it does require work, okay? Like, it might be one of the hardest things you'll do in your agency. And I know that sounds crazy, because you might just think, go on Upwork, go in a Facebook group, I can find someone. But in order to find the right person, in order to find the person who really fits with your company kind of image, you can really create that company culture, and they just kind of tick all of those boxes, it genuinely does require a lot of work. So just make sure that you're ready for that. And I mean, obviously in some cases there is kind of a rush to get somebody on board, but in most cases, like if there's no rush for you to get somebody on board, then don't rush anything, okay? And I know it sounds super like obvious, but just make sure you don't rush anything, because really if there's no rush, then there's no need to rush, okay? And looking long term, it will massively benefit you if you don't rush and you actually take your time going through the interview processes and all that kind of stuff. Now, last and final kind of tip is do not settle for somebody just because, okay? And what I mean by that is don't like bring somebody on board just because either they're kind of the last person you found, maybe they're, I don't know, there's many reasons, but essentially just don't settle for somebody just because you want to get a contractor on board. Maybe they were the first person to message you, or maybe they're the last person you can find. Don't settle for them if they're not a good fit, because once again, looking long term, you guys gotta start looking long term with your agency, and looking long term with doing that, it's not gonna help you at all. Granted, it may help you the next month, next 2 months, but the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months down the line with your agency, it's not gonna benefit you in any way, shape or form, so there's really no point in doing it. You have to bite that bullet, and you have to just really stick by your qualification processes, stick by the rules that you've set, stick by what you wanna find in people, and eventually it will come. Once again though, it does require hard work. So guys, I hope that was a super good insight for you in terms of outsourcing, what to look for, where to find them, where to actually find the right person for your agency and all that kind of stuff. I hope it helps you when it comes to you outsourcing and whatnot. And once again, I hope you found value in the video. So if you did find value in the video, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, because I'm posting every other day. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video.